Hello there and welcome to my review of the Christopher Nolan film The Prestige. The Prestige is about two friends who are both magicians who develop a fierce rivalry between each other. They start out as friends and they end up as bitter enemies. Throughout the film, their constant game of one-upmanship on each other reaches ridiculous levels to the point where half the time you think these guys are going to kill each other. I love this film and I love the way the rivalry between these two men is played out. Both actors are on excellent form, particularly Hugh Jackman. This was the first film I saw Hugh Jackman in where I realised he could be more than just Wolverine. He delivers a really emotional, heartfelt performance and really presents a good understanding of what it is to be a man who's under the thumb of obsession. This character is obsessed. Both of these characters are obsessed with magic and with finding out the secrets of the other person, but I just felt that particularly Jackman in this role just really nailed that obsession, that angle to his character. Of all of Nolan's films, this is probably, for me, despite me being a much bigger fan of his Batman films, this is probably, I would say, his best script. Now, it is an adaptation of the book by Christopher Priest, but I think he does an absolutely stunning job of bringing that book to the screen. The film itself almost works like a magic trick, but it reveals things about narrative, about the way that stories are told on screen, about how films tell stories, and it kind of dissects the way films do that in the way that we see the dissection of magic tricks throughout this film. The first time I saw this film, I must admit, I didn't quite like the ending because I was always waiting for the reveal of how Angier's character does what he does. And we're being told all the way through that this isn't a trick. He's making a copy of himself. The invention that Tesla has come up with literally copies whatever you put in there. But because we're watching this film about magic, we're expecting a trick, we're expecting a reveal, and we're waiting to find out how this illusion is being carried out. But it's not an illusion, it's science fiction. That the film itself becomes a science fiction movie, and to me that was... It was just so brilliantly done, like to the point that the first time I saw it, I didn't quite like it, and it took a second viewing to realise that actually this is the point. This is what Nolan is doing from the very start. He's been open with us. He's been honest with us. He's told us this isn't a trick. The very opening shot is a whole load of these hats that has been copied that comes back into the film, and that kind of relates to us that this isn't an illusion. It's literally happening. Copies are being made by this machine. But as a viewer, you don't want to believe that because of what the film is about, because it's about magic, it's about illusion. You don't want to buy into that. You don't want to believe that that's what you're actually seeing. You're waiting for the illusion to be revealed. At the end of the film, Michael Caine's character says as much. He tells us that you're looking for the secret, but you don't want to find it. You want to be fooled. That's essentially what he's saying. He's saying that it's right there, but you're looking for something that isn't there, and that's what Nolan is telling us through this film. And I think it's just a stroke of genius. And with Borden's character, I don't know about anyone else who's watched this. I can only speak for myself for when I first saw it. So comment below if you had a different experience. But when I first watched this film, I knew straight away that Christian Bale was playing both these characters. Obviously, it plays out like it should be a twist. And I get the feeling we were meant to get that twist. I get the feeling we're meant to see it coming. It's almost a form of misdirection, because we know that Borden, the character of Borden, is literally working an illusion. It's not magic in the sense that it's mystical. It's literally it's an illusion. It's something he's spent his whole life working towards with this twin brother, and because of that, we are looking for an illusion with Angier as well, but it's just not there. And if you listen to the voiceover from Michael Caine at the end, he tells us as much. When they first start out at the beginning of the film, it's Borden who is the better magician. He understands what it takes to truly sacrifice yourself to the art. Whereas Jackman's character, Angier, he's probably the better performer. He can sell the trick. So if you had the mind of Borden and brought that together with the performance of Angier, you'd have the perfect magician. But through the course of the film, by the time we get to the end, through their obsession and through this game of one-upmanship, Borden has become a better performer and Angier has also become a better magician. The film is ultimately about how much we are willing to sacrifice in order to be number one. And for those who are willing to sacrifice it all, it really does take its toll. For Borden, it's all about the technicalities, whereas for Angier, it's all about the performance, it's all about the showmanship. For Borden, he can go his entire life and not give away this secret, that this double life that he's leading, all for the sake of performing this perfect trick, just kind of upholding these technicalities and sticking with them. Whereas Angier, he has to be front and centre. He hates having to go under the stage while this double takes basically the glory for his performance. And that is a real big difference between these two men. The two of them make each other better magicians, but it comes at the cost of losing their humanity. The Borden that fell in love with his wife, while he may still love this woman, he sacrifices her in a sense. He's cruel to her because he allows her to go on thinking that she's going crazy, that 1 minute he loves her and 1 minute he doesn't. And this is because he has to keep up this act of being one man when he is in fact two. And there's a cruelty to that, I think, this kind of dishonesty that he forces upon himself, even with the one that he loves most. There are little moments with Borden's character that are actually quite heartbreaking, because you know that in that particular moment Borden is actually Fallon, or Fallon is actually Borden. Like when the pregnancy is announced, when his wife tells him that she's pregnant, he instantly says, "Oh, we should have told Fallon. We should have said this while Fallon was here." And you know that that's because it's Fallon's child, and he doesn't feel about her the way that he could ever feel about her. So there's little moments like that where when you go back and watch the film, it's quite heartbreaking to see that the moments that the real Borden, the Borden who married this woman, should be witnessing, isn't getting to witness. He's so entwined with his brother that he's unable to think of himself as a whole person. He's one half of a whole, and as a result that causes him to be cruel to his wife, or at least one half of him to be cruel to his wife, and ultimately it's that leads her to suicide. The Prestige is a film that I really can't find anything to criticise. I loved the cinematography by Wally Pfister. This is probably his finest work on any of Christopher Nolan's films, and in fact anywhere in his career. And yet again with this film, Nolan proves himself to be just such an expert at crafting a really well told story. He keeps so many balls in the air at one time, and he goes back and two in time as well. We see stuff in the past, and then we jump back to the present, and we're kind of shifting through these different time periods all the time, but we never lose sight of what's going on. It never gets too confusing where we're like scratching our heads trying to figure out what's going on. And Nolan's just such an expert storyteller with the use of these tactics. The performances by the supporting cast are also really on form as well. I love Michael Caine, especially whenever he works with Christopher Nolan. He has a real gravitas to him, a weight to him, particularly in his older age than compared to what he did when he was much younger. He has a particular way of delivering lines that really makes you trust him. He's a very, very good father figure. You want to believe everything he's saying and just kind of look up to him, I guess. Rebecca Hall is also very good in this. She has the task of kind of playing this woman who's really conflicted, because she's got this husband who at one moment loves her absolutely dearly, and she can tell, and then the next minute kind of just seems distant and vacant, and she can tell he doesn't love her. She doesn't know that this is two separate men. So if you imagine the psychological damage this could do to a person, she takes that on board and she brings that out in her performance absolutely brilliantly, I think. The Prestige is a brilliant film, and I give it a 10 out of 10. So if you've seen The Prestige, comment below and let me know what you thought about it. And tell me this, when you first saw it, did you see the twist with Christian Bale's character coming? Did you know that he was essentially playing both of those characters? And what did you think of the twist with, or the lack thereof, with Hugh Jackman's character and how his trick was working? Because I can only view it through my own experience, and if you've watched this video, you now know what I think, but I want to know what you think. Tell me how those twists played out for you when you first watched it. And until next time, thanks for watching.